Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Somya Mishra, who is the co-founder at Samachar, a digital news platform that brings you news that matters in form of visual carousels, infographics, motion graphics, etc. Soumya is a graduate of IIT Kanpur and has worked for companies such as Intel, Hike Messenger, and all before starting his own venture in 2019. Hi, Soumya. Welcome to ELI.
Hi Priya, how are you doing?
Uh, Doing good, Soumya. How about you?
Good, good. Thank you for having me on your show.
It is our pleasure only.
Yeah.
Soumya, please introduce yourself to our audience.
So you did a pretty good job of introducing me already. So I'm Soumya Mishra, and I am a graduate and a dual degree graduate from IIT Kanpur in electrical engineering. My work includes working in Intel, where I used to work on GPUs, and after that I worked in a startup called Creo, which was into hardware manufacturing, which later got acquired by Hiked, and then I worked on Hike. And after that, since last year, I've essentially been pursuing my entrepreneurial journey in the space of news tech with our product called Samachar. So the co-founders on this are me and my wife Urvi.
Gotcha.
Right.
Tell us about Samachar. What is it about? What is the problem statement you are solving?
Right. News and content and news in general, news specifically, is something that both me and my co-founder have been very passionate about for quite some time, and we feel that there are lot of gaps over there, right? Like currently, most news that you will see is either partisan opinion based stuff, or it's aggregator, or it's just like, like, okay, this is what is trending on Twitter, and then you get a what do you say, notification on InShots or Daily Hunt, hey, netizens reacted to this, right? But whereas we look at news as something that's a source of knowledge and information on a daily basis. So how do we change that, and how do we make news appeal to the younger audience, especially Gen Z, the folks who are in high school and college, or who have just graduated from college? How do we make news appeal to them? So that is the problem that we are trying to solve. And over the last 1 year, we have experimented with different content types, different form factors, and we figured out that to reach this audience, you got to communicate in terms that works best for them. So we found that making news short and infographic based, so less information, less text and more information, is what we are trying to target. Make it visual, make it beautiful, make it engaging. And yeah, so we are basically doing multiple experiments on our MVP, which is an Instagram channel, and where we have got a decent following of over 17,000 people and counting. And so basis those learnings, we have also like recently launched a beta app on Android.
Okay. Now, let me ask you a much deeper question.
Sure.
Uh, what is happening to news these days? As you rightly mentioned, it is polarized, opinion based, and all. Uh, can you explain to us what is wrong with the news today and how it can be corrected?
Uh, so I wouldn't want to add a judgment whether it's right or wrong. It is how it is, right? Like I understand why it is done. So the reason of doing all these partisan opinion based things in news is because it, at a very visceral level, it connects emotionally with the end reader, and it creates a tribal feeling amongst the end reader. So that whenever you do an us versus them kind of thing with your followers, right, then you kind of get more tribal loyalty out of that. So that's an easy to do thing. And of course, everyone has figured that out. Okay, this is what we have to do. The first person whoever figured this out, for them it was an innovation. Now everyone is doing this. Everyone wants to go on that divide. That is creating a lot of noise. And even if you look at news, like if you forget the top headline of the story which everyone is talking about, but fundamentally most of news is actually objective, right? Like a bill being passed, a score in a cricket match, or some sports score, or a stock market movement, or some decision in a business in all of that is objective. The subjectivity and opinion comes when you want to uh, tell the end user, okay, hey, this is how we want you to think about this news item, right? When you start pumping in your opinion over there and conflating it with news, that is where the problem arises, in my opinion. But fundamentally, news is objective. If you stick to the facts, if you stick to the knowledge aspect of it, then I think there's a very interesting angle to look at over there, right? Like I remember as a kid, when I was learning to read, and my parents, their morning routine would be to like pick up the newspaper along with a cup of tea and some biscuits. And I think I learned to read by trying to read the headlines of the newspaper, and that has been like a very like a big thing in my life. I've always been like reading newspapers and magazines stuff, and I feel I've learned a lot from there. For me, news is something, that's a source of knowledge to know more about the world. And it's kind of sad to see that it has become now basically a point of argument amongst people. So you want to change that. Like let's make news engaging, fun, and also knowledge driving, and let's remove the negative emotions from the news that news is trying to drive.
Okay. Soumya, as a budding stakeholder in the news industry, what are the
Right.
steps you are taking to make the news more objective and fact based and not opinion based?
So currently, our tagline is news that matters, and we have a very clear cut white list of what domains of news we do on our channel. We essentially pick up news in either business or science and technology, or geopolitics, or policy level stuff in India. Of course, with our launch of our app, we'll definitely be scaling up to more domains and more types of content. But our MVP, our most valuable part of the content is still going to be the deep dives we do in these sectors, right? And apart from that, we have a set of rules on how do we treat news, right? Instead of saying, let's say, politician XYZ lied about this matter, which is a judgment that you're passing, you say that politician XYZ said whatever statement, and this is what happened. Whether it's a lie, whether it's true, leave it to the readers to think about, right? And more than talking about who said what or who speculated what their opinion is, we try to deal with uh, the more objective facts in that, try to give more context to it, right? um, so for example, like, I'll not get into any political, I'll not take any example of any political news because that gets problematic. Let me take a news from business or from the world, right? Like what's going on with Jack Ma in China right now. So the headline is obviously very catchy, like, Jack Ma has been missing for a couple of months or whatever after he criticized, but what's the background to it? What's the context over there? What is Ant Group? What has Jack Ma's journey been? um, what is the history of censorship in China? These are things which are interesting to know about in the news, right? Like when you read an article or a headline, don't you feel like, oh, but why is this? We want to know more. We go with that approach, like extracting knowledge from news rather than extracting or generating emotions from news. That is what we avoid. We try to extract knowledge from news and try to make it fun.
Okay, very interesting. We can go more into this, but again, our show is not about that. Uh, let's talk about your journey as an entrepreneur. Tell us,
Sure.
when did you think of becoming an entrepreneur? What triggered it?
Uh, I have always been a bit of a, what do you say, someone who likes to have more control on my life. So this thing is something which has always, which is a natural, I think is a natural fit for me. This is something that I figured out in college, that this is what I want to do in the long term. I basically want to run my own company in a space that I'm interested in. Now, how to run a company, what is the space that I'm actually passionate about, that took some time to figure out. And I was very clear that before diving in, like, this is a very serious responsibility. If you're running a company, at once it goes beyond the idea stage, you are now you are responsible for the money of your investors. You're responsible for the lives of your employees, right? It's a big responsibility at the end of the day. So I don't feel it is at least for me personally, I didn't feel it was right to jump into it until I felt I was ready, until I had all the whatever I felt were relevant experiences. So I've tried to frame my career in that direction as well. Worked in like a big MNC corporate to understand, what are the best processes that can be applied. Worked in a startup in a very hard industry to actually see the hands-on challenges of doing moonshot projects. And after that, like once all those learnings were there, apart from learning, you getting better at your tech and all of that, that will happen. But learning these meta things, once I was sure of that, that's when I decided, okay, yeah, it's time to now flip the switch and move towards what I want to do with the rest of my life, right?
Okay. Once you are past that phase, what all activities you do? How did you quit the job? Can you tell us the story of first few days?
um so as I said, right, like this was something, it was kind of at some level it was a planned thing. I knew sometime back, like uh, 3-4 years ago, that in the next couple of years sometime I will be starting up. I did not want financial constraint to be a problem that that pushes us to the wall too much. So yeah, I kind of prepped for it. It helped that the previous startup that I was working with, it got acquired by Hike, and we made, everyone made some decent change from that, saved and invested it to make sure that I have like what do you say, rainy day fund which will last me some time, so that I can work without worrying on a domain that I'm interested in. Because this news thing, right, like while I personally feel, for because of the skill sets that both me and my co-founder Urmi have, in terms of our understanding of tech and manufacturing process and how that can be, and design, and how all of that can be applied to this space. But we have no experience in new space per se, so we needed some time to even experience that industry as well. So we needed that buffer of time and space to learn about the industry. So yeah, for me, the preparation aspect was basically save up, so that that doesn't come to bite you later while you're actually dealing with the tougher problems in life.
Okay. Um,
Right,
Once you had decided about the entrepreneurship and you took all the first steps, then
right,
probably at some stage you'd have to uh, recruit people to pursue the vision you
right,
have. How did you go
right,
about it? What kind of people you brought on board, and how did that all go?
right. So in the space that we are working in, while tech is an enabler and a good to have and generates value in the long term, your bread and butter is always going to be content, and content which is like getting updated on a daily basis. So for us, it was very important to have good writers, good designers on board for that process. Um the approach was, a, because we have been bootstrapped so far, so we tried to get interns who have potential, not necessarily that they have experience in that, but if they have potential in that direction, they and are teachable, then we train them and bring them up to speed and get them over here. So yeah, we basically, as we were bootstrapping in Ahmedabad, we reached out to the college community over here, the startup community, and we got a couple of good writers and designers on board. And after that, like once they got into the system, we learned together. After that, growth has been pretty much, in terms of people to join the company. It has been organic. Like I would prefer hiring people who are already known to the people who are working here. That personal network effect, um, I think trumps any sort of resume point that can be there.
Hmm. Okay.
Right,
uh, what about the business side of it? When you hire people, and
right.
when you are at a MVP stage, you would have to burn good amount of money as well. Did you how did you manage the finance?
So about burning a good amount of money, it again depends on your sector, your approach, and how you're doing it, right? For us, as I said, we have bootstrapped. We saved and invested the first chunk of what do you say, investment into our company is by me and my co-founder, and we knew that basis how we are spending, we had a burn rate that it should last us at least a year and a half. So that has not been a problem so far, right? I think it is important, but for a lot of folks, I think for your audience, if I want to think of the question from their point of view, it is important that the early people that they get in their startup, like especially the people who are like starting up in college who may not have access to funds, I think it's important for them to get a very small tight group of people who are the early team and who have a decent skin in the game, right? So they could be co-founders or they could have like stock options or whatever, right? But they needed some skin in the game to be able to do it not as a job. You don't want your early employees to treat it as a job. You want them to treat it as their baby as well. So I think, and I think in that respect, like it's a good opportunity for people who are straight out of college, still in college, to start up. Although I would personally advise that they should get some industry experience before doing so, but because the college network is so fresh and the friends you have in college, you're still meeting them on a daily basis when you're in hostel or whatever. Get some good friends who have the right mix of skill set that you want, and then startup. That's a good opportunity. Definitely there. I don't think you need to worry about finances too much at that level.
Okay. Okay. Um, what is your vision with this venture you are building? What is the ultimate product you see building out of this venture?
Right. So what we want to see is Samachar should become the go-to news app, at least for the zillennial or Gen Z Janta of India, right? Like the news that comes on Samachar, there should not be doubt about it, and that there is something wrong over here. There's something factual. This should be the go-to news source for the young the young demographic of India. That is our long-term target with this.
What are the challenges you have faced along the way while building this venture?
Many, man, like challenges you'll keep facing.
I have got
We
time.
still face a lot of challenges, and we'll face a lot of challenges down the line as well. Uh, yeah, sorry, you were saying something?
Yeah, I have got
I,
time to listen all the challenges you have faced. Why didn't you start with the funny ones?
I really have to think about it. I think the main challenge, to be honest, has been delving in an industry where we have not had experience, right? Like we don't have resume points to cover. Hey, before this I've done XYZ in the media industry and news industry. We have a feel that we can disrupt the space, but we don't have that experience in that industry prior to this. So that was the challenge, which I think the best way to overcome was you dive into the deep end of the pool. We started this, and for a year or so we have been actually covering a lot of news content, and now we feel that we know this industry and how things work much better. So that has been a major challenge that we have overcome. Apart from this, I think in general there'll be a lot of challenges in terms of business side judgment calls that you need to take on a day to day or week to week basis, and that keeps continuing, right? And yeah, so another thing is, so the earliest version, like when we started off with like text based content, long form articles. Our approach there was to, if you want to make news more dependable and information driven, we thought, why don't we make it like an academic paper, in the sense that you have a small intro, a background, the main thesis of the news, and then you have annotation of sources and stuff like that, and we try to make it do all of that in a fun accessible language. We thought that was a very cool idea, but it didn't work out. So obviously it's disappointing at first when an idea doesn't work out, but then you have to take learnings from that, and then you have the deciding when to switch the gears or pivot a little. That's a challenge that keeps coming up again and again in the entrepreneurial journey. So instead of maybe looking at as like you should, I think the perspective to be built here is that all of this is also a huge learning experience, and learning will never stop.
Okay.
Right.
Speaking of learning, tell us
Right.
what are the things you have learned over time which can shorten the learning curve of other entrepreneurs out there who are watching you on their YouTube screen.
Right. Yeah, the biggest learning is there are no shortcuts which are sustainable. To be very honest, right? You have to put in your grind. People, some people might luck out at some stage or whatever, but luck is not a sustainable process. Luck is not repeatable. So the biggest learning is, don't worry about time so much. To gain confidence, you have to be good at whatever you're doing. So put the time and the effort and become good at it. That is the main learning, and that should be there irrespective of whether you're an entrepreneur or you're working somewhere or you're studying. I mean, that should be like having a mind towards learning and putting in the effort over there and not looking for shortcuts. That's an approach that should in general help most people in whatever phase of life they are.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Tell us. One of the entrepreneurs out there, he came to our show and said, for every success in the entrepreneur's life, will go through 10 failures at the same time.
Right.
Having said that, can you share with us some of the failures you have gone through or you have faced as an entrepreneur?
Uh, I mean, I already told you that one part, what we initially came out with in terms of content, and that didn't work. So that was I guess major failure. But I look at it as an opportunity to basically learn and pivot. Um, Man, my like our personal perspective towards failure is that it's a learning opportunity. I don't have these incidents pegged in my mind. Hey, this was a major failure. I mean, that's just my personal attitude towards things. So I
Okay.
don't know if I can answer that well.
Okay. Uh,
Right.
Coming to my last few questions, can you suggest all the young people out there, about a way or a typical playbook they should follow to become entrepreneurs or to start their venture?
Firstly, I think people should realize that it's not an easy journey, right? It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of hard work, right? This is not a 9 to 5 job. Your mind can never shut off from work. Even if you want, it can't, right? You're probably dreaming about what you want to work on the next day. So it's a hard journey for sure. So first thing first, people should have that internal clarity. Is this hardship something that they want? See, a lot of valuable things in life only come after hard work. Look at all your elite sportsmen like cricketers or football players and basketball players, whatever, right? They put in a lot of work. It's not easy. You see the trappings of success over there, of a Hardik Pandya going on to a coffee with Karan and making some jokes over there. But that is all fruits of the labor. You don't see the effort that guy has put in, right? He dropped out in ninth standard thinking with the clarity that he will make it as an international cricketer, right? So that kind of hard work is there. So you should be ready for that. Don't look at the outcome and the fruits of the labor and think that, hey, this is a cool thing to do. No, it's a hard thing to do. And if you're ready for that hardship, only go into that. Don't go into it for the results.
I think this is an interesting perspective. Everybody knows it already, but yeah, hearing from you. Uh,
Right.
so, Probably my last question.
Sure.
I should have asked it at the beginning. You said you
Definitely.
have worked for multiple companies before starting your venture. Tell us what is the key difference you found between a full time job and a entrepreneur's life.
Um, so if as you move through your career, right, and if you work somewhere initially at an initial stage, um, you have direct control on the output on the work that you're responsible for, right? Let's assume that you are a developer in a company. How well the code is written, how fast you have written it, how many bugs are resolved, you have direct control over it. As you move up and up in the ladder, right, from developer, you become an architect or a product manager or a VP or whatever, right? You are responsible for more things and you have less control over everything, right? A product manager cannot control what code is going out, like it's not in his hands at the end of the day. So, and that's the journey. The entrepreneurship is the next part in that pyramid. You're actually responsible for a lot of things that you don't have direct control over. So that kind of what do you say, um, being able to that take that kind of responsibility and not, knowing that you can't control the outcomes directly is something that you have to be ready with. And this is something that you will learn through your as well. Apart from that, I think I went on a little bit of a tangent. So if just the question was about what did I learn from my previous companies that can be applied here, right?
No, what was the difference between your
Uh,
full-time job life and entrepreneur life?
right. यार हाँ भाई full time job life में again. So at the end of the day, you're kind of like when you're working at a job, it's like whatever you can kind of, at least in the early stage of your jobs, you can kind of shut off your brain from work like after you're back from office. Not that like now with COVID everyone is working 24/7 with WFH, but at least you can shut off your brain from work. But again, as I was saying, like as you move up and up in this journey, right, that the responsibility that is there, that you have, that keeps you awake, right? So that difference starts getting blurred as you move up and up in this in any sort of career journey. And once you are at any stage of responsibility, whether inside a company or doing your own thing, it kind of becomes the same. Only thing, now you become responsible for much more, right? Like a VP in a company is still only responsible for his vertical, but a founder is responsible for every vertical that is there in that company. So yeah, that's the major difference, man. It's just the amount of responsibility you're taking, and how easily you can shut off. But yeah, take this for granted. Like as an entrepreneur, your brain cannot shut off from work ever.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
On this note, I would like to close this session. Unless you have any final message, I'd like to say it was a great pleasure to host you here at ELI.
No, man. Same here, man. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I really like what you guys are doing with this podcast series. So I hope you interview more and more people, and give out these nuggets of wisdom for your overall audience. So yeah, all the best.
Thank you, Soumya, and our best wishes for Samachar. Listeners, you
Thank
can
you. Thank you.
follow Soumya on LinkedIn by typing Soumya Misra. That is it for today's episode. We will be back with
Yeah.
another exciting entrepreneur. Stay tuned to ELI.